Greetings and welcome back to Life and Godliness. I want to do a reflective journey of the book of Psalms. Let's take this journey together. I'm starting with Psalms chapter number 1, and it reads, "Blessed is the man who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers." That's the New International Version. Now, I prefer the New King James Version, which says, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful." There are moments in life where everything feels noisy, sounds noisy, and voices pulling us in different directions, opinions telling us what to do, what to chase after, and how to live. I love the wisdom of Psalm chapter 1. It encourages us to pause, to think, and to make the right decisions. The psalm is not just poetic, as some would think. It sounds like a poet. So Psalm 1 is a mirror, it's a map, it's an open, a gentle invitation, an honest invitation, if you like, to examine the path we're walking. Psalm 1 is the foundation, the cornerstone upon which all true and lasting manifestation is built for mental success. Just like a farmer knows that the quality of the seed and the quality of the soil determine the harvest, so the human mind must be prepared before it can manifest the fruit of the Spirit. So let's discuss this psalm further. It starts off by saying, "Blessed is the man." Blessed means divinely favored, filled with deep happiness, gratitude, contentment, which is often linked to life's gifts and God's goodness and grace, like health, wealth, wisdom, peace, joy, and so on. Blessed can also mean having joy even in the midst of hardship and living righteously. Blessedness is a stable happiness, which is not an eternal reward, but the natural result of a well-directed mind. Blessed means steady, fulfilled, joyful, deeply peaceful, anchored in truth, and firm amid any storm, which is the cause of that blessedness. It starts by saying, "Blessed is the man or woman who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly." So guarding the mind from all negative influence begins here. It begins in you and I not walking in the counsel of the ungodly. Any counsel that sows doubt, that sows fear, that sows resentment or defeat is ungodly counsel. The mental environment in which one lives can also have an influence on a person as much as the physical environment. So the mental and the physical environment in which one lives can also have an influence on a person. What does the counsel of the ungodly mean? It is not necessarily the voice of evil people, but any negative thought, any suggestion, any habit or belief that pulls you away from the truth. Sometimes it's even your inner voice, the inner voice of criticism, self-criticism, the inner voice of discouragement and defeat, or the inner voice of condemnation. Other times, it is the rumor of the world, the voice of collective failure from the world. All of these are counsels of the ungodly. So sometimes it comes from yourself. The verse goes on to say, does not walk, does not walk. This implies activity, choosing one's path, refusing to be carried away, does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. So it's choosing your path wisely, not to be carried away. The verse goes on to say, standing in the way of sinners. We're discussing line by line. Standing in the way of sinners means refusing the frequency of error, refusing sin, refusing the vibration and the frequency of error, refusing the attitude of defeat. The next one says, sits in the seat of the ungodly, or sits in the seat of the scornful, or of mockers, scornful or mockers. So this warns against the habit of criticizing, judging, and belittling, because every negative judgment returns to us. Every negative judgment returns to us. So notice the progression here. It talks about walking, it talks about standing, and it talks about sitting. So influence rarely happens all at once. It could be the voice we entertain. It could be the habit we tolerate. And it could be a mindset that we have adopted to. So what I want us to take away from this verse, we're going to be studying the whole chapter verse by verse. And so today we've only just done one verse. So the takeaway message from this one verse is this: be careful and be mindful of the people you listen to, the people you hang around with. Be careful about the content you consume. Be careful about the environments you go to, because all these shape who you are becoming. They shape you, and they shape the direction of your life, or the direction for your life. So guard your heart. Guard your heart diligently, and guard your heart early, not after damage is done. Guard your heart early and be careful. So this week's nugget is verse 1 of chapter 1. So next week we'll be looking at verse 2. So we're going to break it down, but we're going to study the entire chapter. Today we've only studied one. We've only discussed one verse, which is, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. So let's be careful where we walk and how we walk. Let's be careful where we stand and how we stand. Let's be careful where we sit and how we sit. Please read the entire chapter in your time, so that when we discuss it, you're already aware of what the verses are. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. Until next time, Shalom.